Hello, welcome to another edition of your Midday Love Break. I'm Robyn D'Angelo. I am your host. I'm going to wait for a couple people to pop on here. And I have my Facebook Live people. Thank you for being here. Instagram, thank you to everyone who's here too. And I'm just really excited to bring these midday love breaks to those of you who make the time for them. And today's a really, really fascinating topic. It's something that so many people come to me and say, Robyn, help us with this. And this is when criticism starts taking over your relationship. So today I'm going to be talking to you about kind of what is criticism, what it looks like, what it sounds like, why we do it, right? It's like, why the heck am I always criticizing? Or why the heck is my partner always criticizing me? And then what you can do about it. I'm going to give you guys the tools to crush the criticism. So for those of you that are here, thank you so much. Just let me know that you can hear me. Either give me some likes, some thumbs up. Just say, yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Before I just kind of dive into this stuff, I want to make sure you are hearing me loud and clear. I'm going to pop on to my computer here. I want to make sure I see you guys and have any questions that are coming through. I want to make sure I can see them. Perfect. Okay, so I can see myself. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So for those of you who don't already know me, I'm Robyn D'Angelo. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the founder of The Happy Couple Expert. And I've just really made it my mission and my passion to help disconnected and frustrated couples to create really, truly epic relationships that last. And I do this by teaching people how to just master the messiness of couplehood together. So when I'm bringing these midday love breaks to you guys every Wednesday at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, my goal is that you're taking a moment out of your day, like a lunch break or a coffee break, and you are reconnecting to what matters most, which is your relationship. So this is your midday love break. We're talking about crushing the criticism, and I'm going to dive right in. And if at any point you're like, oh my gosh, my friend totally needs to hear this, or I know someone who would really benefit from hearing this information, please go ahead and share the video with them. It's about spreading consciousness and tips and tools to create your epic relationship. So go ahead and tag a friend or share with anyone who you think this would be helpful. So let's dive in. I have my notes here so that I stay on track. Otherwise, I will go all over the place with this topic because I could talk about this for days. Like I said, this is one of the most common things that couples come to me asking for help with, which is, either I'm criticizing a lot or my partner is criticizing a lot. So what I want to do is start with what exactly is criticism? You may not think you're criticizing, but you actually are. So there's a couple different ways that we criticize. When you're using words like always or never when you're talking to your partner, these are criticisms. I'll give you an example. So if you're saying things like, you're always running late. You make us look so bad in front of my parents. Right? That's a criticism. You're using always because are they really always running late? Or if you're making comments or statements like, how come you never are the one to plan dates? I always have to do this. See, you'll see them go hand in hand, right? And we get in this mode of always, never, because we're trying to make a point, because it feels overwhelming to us, or we just don't feel heard. Another way that criticisms can show up in our relationships, it's name calling. Are you guilty of this? You watching right now? Do you ever say anything to your partner like, you're so lazy? If you would just pick up after yourself, we wouldn't get in these same fights over and over again. Sound familiar? Name calling, it can be so damaging, and it can just hit someone at their core. You may just be trying to get their attention. You may just be getting your frustrations out, but name calling can really, really stick to a person's core. It can break them down, and it can make them want to disconnect from you. So those are just a couple examples of criticism and what they look like, what they sound like in relationships, in case you weren't sure. So just keep that in mind as you're going through your day, as you're going through your week, and see if you are guilty of criticizing, or maybe your partner is, and you just weren't sure what to call it. Now you have a place to start. Like, there's a lot of criticism showing up in our relationship. Now, let's talk about why we criticize. And I just have my notes here, so if you see me looking down, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys all the information you need, because this is really going to enhance your relationship and your communication going forward. We want to crush the criticism. So oftentimes we are criticizing because we are just at our wits' end and we are trying our best to be heard. We're trying to get our needs met, or a want that we have. We're trying to get it met in a way that is just not productive. Is this resonating with you guys? Let me know. Let me hear from you. Put some comments in the section below and just let me know. Is that what you experience when you're like, oh, I'm just so frustrated? Of course I'm saying things like, why are you so lazy? Or why can't you ever pick up after yourself? Of course I'm at that place because, Robyn, I've asked her over and over again, or I've begged him to please, just take out the trash. Please, can you set a date for us? Why do I always have to be the one? Right? So you're attempting to get a need met, but you're using this language that not only does it not work, have you guys noticed that? When you criticize, it really, truly doesn't work. It actually gets your partner defensive. Think about it. Or you get defensive, right? So if someone's criticizing you, it's like a verbal attack. So what happens in our brains when we perceive that we're being attacked, or we have experienced this verbal attack, which is a criticism? We want to defend ourselves. We want to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves. So criticism doesn't work. And then guess what happens? Then conflict starts, right? And you guys are both so busy trying to defend your side, trying to be heard, that you're just boom, boom, boom. You're butting heads, right? So you go round and round in circles. And that is probably the number one complaint I hear from couples, which is, Robyn, we have the same argument over and over and over again. It's like they just don't listen. It's like I can't get my point across. They don't care. I mean, a number of reasons. But I can almost guarantee in those moments when you're butting heads or you're going round and round, you're probably criticizing. And if you're not, I can almost guarantee your partner is, which means you're probably getting defensive. So can you guys see how this literally just goes round and round and round? So now that you know what criticism is, what it sounds like, what it looks like, and why we do it, just trying to get our needs met, I'm going to give you the keys to crush the criticism. Do you want this? I see a couple people have joined us. Tell me, give me some hearts, let me know, is this what you want? Do you want the tools? You want the keys to be able to crush the criticism out of your relationship so you can stay connected with your partner? I'm just going to take a sip of my coffee. I'm going to wait to hear from you guys because I don't want to just be talking to myself. Comments, you guys, put some questions in there, some comments, let me know. Do you want the keys to crushing criticism? Fill me in. It really, really, truly is not magic, but it's going to feel magic because it takes you just changing the way you talk to your partner. It takes you and your partner changing the way you have dialogue together, the way you hear one another. It starts to change if you're speaking to one another differently. And I can guarantee if you put this into play, you're going to start feeling like, I've never heard my partner talk to me this way before. Your brain will start to hear the message rather than the complaint, rather than the criticism, rather than the tone of voice. How many times have you been thrown off, or have you heard from your partner that, your tone of voice, like that is what stopped me. That's what made me disconnect, was that tone of voice. The minute I hear that tone of voice, I just know my toes curl. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Here's what you need to do. When you're trying to get your need met, before you get to that point of criticizing your partner, of saying things like, why do you always, why can't you ever, you're so lazy, here's what you need to do. Remember this phrase. It's called complaining without blaming. Keep that in mind, complaining without blaming. Like, sear that into your brain. Because what this means is, Complaining is just your attempt to share what it is that you need. It's a need of yours, right? It's, I have this need and I'm just trying to get it across and communicate this to my partner in a way that they hear me and they actually want to step in and do something about it rather than get into defense mode and like, oh. So complaining without blame looks like this. It's a really specific process. It feels really rigid at first. It's supposed to, because you're learning something new. And then once it becomes more natural, you'll start to use your own language and it will feel a lot smoother and it will be more in flow. So complaining without blame, there's 3 steps, just 3. The first one is, and this is how you set up the conversation with your partner. Okay, so maybe let's first identify, like, what are you complaining about, right? Actually, I'm going to back up. Some people aren't sure, like, well, Robyn, I don't know what my needs are. Want to know a really good way to find out what your needs are? Think about what you're complaining about most. Or internally complaining about. Maybe you're not even saying anything to your partner because you're just building up resentments and you're like, oh, I'm just so frustrated all the time. That's probably a need of yours that's not being met. So think about like, oh, I'm always complaining about they're never picking up after themselves. I'm the one that plans the dates all the time. They're staying late at work all the time, right? So think about what it is that you're complaining about. I will use one in my own relationship. I'm going to get real. Yes, I'm the happy couple expert, but I too struggle and I have to utilize these tools. So my husband and I both are business owners. We're entrepreneurs, which means we don't work the typical 9 to 5. We just don't. We are working late sometimes. We're at networking events well into the evening. So I will use an example of you've been working late every night this week, and I have a need to see my husband more. I have a need to connect. I'm feeling kind of lonely. I'm feeling disconnected and I want more time with my husband. There we go. There's a need of mine. So I could say something to him like, God, you're always out late at night and I never get to see you and I just feel like I'm not important to you. So the minute his brain hears this, he's going to get defensive. But what am I doing? I'm just trying to get my need met. So here's the 3 steps you're going to follow. I'm going to say something to him like this. I'm going to say, I'm feeling really lonely and disconnected from you. So you start with a sentence of I'm feeling followed by an emotion. Because when your partner sees you focusing on you and hears you sharing an emotion with them, our empathy part of our brain, our amygdala goes, oh, okay, there's concern here. There's a reason to lean in and see what I can do to help. Whereas if you were to criticize and name call, what happens? Your brain says, protect yourself, run away. So I feel lonely and disconnected. And then you describe a situation, not your partner. I want you to hear me again. You describe the situation and not what your partner is or isn't doing or specifying them. So here's what I would say. I've been feeling really lonely and disconnected because I haven't seen much of you this week and there's been a lot of late nights where we're not together. Now, I did say the word you in there. I try to stay away from even putting the word you in that sentence if you can. So just to go back, it can sound something like I'm feeling lonely and disconnected because this week has been full of late nights where neither of us have eaten dinner together. See how I'm describing the situation and not criticizing my husband. I'm describing just the situation where I'm feeling lonely and disconnected. And the third step is to make a request. And this is where we forget oftentimes to continue the conversation. We'll just maybe throw out what it is that I need or what it is that I want, and then just kind of dump it on our partner's laps and expect them to go, oh, okay, I have to come up with a solution to this. No. Ask your partner, make a request. So I'll go back to my example. I'm feeling really disconnected and lonely because there's been so many late nights this week and we haven't eaten dinner together. I would love it if we could put a date on the calendar next Monday, 6 p.m. for just us. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just sit home and be in our PJs. We can pull up Netflix. We can binge. I'll pop some popcorn. right? Hey, Janet. Yes, describe, don't criticize. I'm glad that this is resonating. I'm glad this feels like good stuff. Oftentimes we think it's so complicated. We think, why is this not working? What am I doing wrong? What do I have to do differently to get my partner to understand? And it's a matter of talking to them in a way that their brains don't get defensive. It's a matter of actually getting your need across to them in a way that is full of tenderness and kindness. You can still be frustrated, right? I was totally feeling frustrated. It had been I think a week straight where I didn't have dinner with my husband one night. And I don't even think we went to bed at the same time. I was either seeing clients late or he was at a networking event, and we just kept missing each other. And I could have been really, really bratty about it. I could have been really unproductive and said, I'm pissed, you're never home. Figure it out and make time for me. And oftentimes we get there. We get so frustrated. But if you think about why it is you're frustrated, it's because you have this need to connect. You want to feel special and loved by your partner. You want to have an opportunity to just look at them and say, hey, hi, right? And just slowing way down. And so when you utilize, remember that phrase I said, complaining without blaming. Hi, Ken. If you utilize complaining without blaming, that 3-step process, your partner can hear what it is that you're struggling with. Your partner can hear how you're feeling, which is key, so they actually can connect to your experience rather than trying to protect themselves from your criticism. And then you make the request so they then know what to do. It's like, okay, great. You gave me the steps. This is, oh my gosh, yes. Or they have an opportunity to say what they can or cannot accommodate in your request. So maybe I ask, can we put something on the calendar for next Monday night where it's just us, even if it's just an hour? And they're like, you know what, Monday night doesn't work for me. How about Thursday night? Right? So again, the goal is to keep the dialogue going. Keep it going. Create an environment where you guys are talking, where you're connecting, where you're understanding what it's like for one another. You guys are engaged. This will absolutely keep the love alive. This will help you to crush the criticism. And this will help you both to get your needs met. I mean, win, win, win. I think I said 3 of them there, right? So for those of you that are here, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up. If you have questions, put them in the comments. This is your opportunity to get some questions answered live. Are you noticing criticism come up in your relationship? Is it you who's doing it? Yes, you. And what are you going to do differently next time? I will tell you right now that I'm going to throw this random number out. This is not research-based. I'm going to throw it out there. 90% of couples criticize each other every now and then. Every now and then. I'm just going to throw it out there. So what are you going to do different next time? Ken, you said, I think having the same goals and values is key, so each other can pick the other person up. Absolutely. Because there's going to be moments, you guys, where you're going to criticize and you're going to mess up. And those are the moments that I want you to remember that at the end of the day, if you can just show up with kindness, right? If you can just show up with kindness and compassion and grant your partner some grace every now and then, and grant yourself some grace every now and then, it will be so much easier because you're going to mess up. And like Ken said, you'll be able to pick each other up in those moments. And I shared this one with you guys last week. I have this little thing. I don't know if you guys can see this. And it changes out, right? There's little different quotes on here, and I change it out every day, and I just kind of let it guide me for that day. And I think this was really appropriate, the one that is visual to me today, that is that I can see. And I just want to share it with you because it really just hit home. And I think you guys will appreciate it. It says, acknowledging a mistake just means that you are wiser today than you were yesterday. How beautiful is that? It also means you are choosing to step toward your partner. You are choosing to attempt to connect with them, to maybe repair a little something that may have gotten damaged. So, do you feel equipped? You guys, give me some hearts. Let me see some thumbs up. Are you feeling good going into your next situation where you want to express yourself and how you have a need and what you would like to see from your partner in getting your needs or wants met? Do you feel like complaining without blaming is going to help you get there? I'll answer it. Yes, it will. Are you feeling courageous enough and brave enough to put it into action, you guys? This is key. And it's such a small little tweak that you can start doing. And just know you will probably stumble the first couple times you try it, because when we criticize often and it becomes a habit in our relationship, it's really hard to break those habits. We get right back into our default modes and we do the things that just don't work. And then we're left going, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated. Nothing's ever going to change. I promise you that it can. It's just about, like this quote said, acknowledging a mistake just means you're wiser today than you were yesterday. So can you acknowledge the places where, gosh, that so did not go the way I wanted it to yesterday. I'm going to try this again. And then do the 3 steps of complaining without blaming. And if you're just popping on, go watch the replay, and I outline clearly the 3 steps of complaining without blaming. And if you feel like this is something that your partner could really, really benefit in hearing, share this with them. And let's see what kind of conversations this brings up. Let's see how it changes the way you guys are getting your needs met. And let's see if it changes the quality of complaining. Because again, complaining is not a bad thing. It actually helps you to get your needs met if you do it in a respectful and productive way. Blaming and criticizing are what rips relationships apart, makes people feel lonely, misunderstood. So, there you guys have it. That is your 3 steps on how to crush the criticism and keep love alive. And if this has been helpful, oh my gosh, please share with everyone. I want to hear your comments. And here's what I want to ask of you guys. These midday love breaks, these happen once a week, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So wherever you're at, I'm hoping you can join us. I want to hear from you. What topics do you guys want me to address? What kinds of things are you struggling with in your relationship? Send me some private messages. You can email me at Robyn, it's ROBYN, at The Happy Couple Expert, and let me know what it is that you want me to address on our next midday love break. Because I can guarantee if you're struggling with it or you're confused or you're frustrated, millions of other people are too. So tell me what it is you guys want some help with. This is your opportunity to get live free coaching and advice, tips, tools, and strategies to create your most epic relationship that lasts. And I'm so excited to have you guys here with me. Thank you so much. These midday love breaks would not be what they are without you guys. So big love to all my love geeks. And I can't wait to see you guys next week for another edition of your midday love break. I'm Robyn D'Angelo. I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.